not normally I prepare a written text, but since I just returned 2 nights ago and a bit sleepy, and I got this compilations of my note here and there, and it's put in the one piece of paper that I would like to deliver it now. First of all, let me thanks to Professor. Maaf, minta maaf. Saya harus bilang Professor Errington for kind introductions. And it is an honor for me to be in this prestigious university. Everybody knows what Yale is. And whenever I speak at universities, I have really to remember that I am a graduate student myself. Few people know this, but I am currently working on my PhD thesis with the Australian National University. So you are not talking not to the ambassador, but talking to students. So I mean, and it's make me nervous because I'm talking in front of professor, but well, fine. Why I'm going to Canberra? Because I'm sure that I cannot be accepted here at the Yale. Businessmen quick to note the economic signs. China's economy grew by more than 11%, as you know, in the third quarter of this year. And Vietnam's economy grew by over 8% in the same period. Yesterday, the fourth annual China-ASEAN Expo ended, bringing attention back to the region's goal of ASEAN-China Free Trade Area by 2010. Politically, newspaper headlines reveal the signs of change. Negotiations on the Korean Peninsula are encouraging. The upcoming Olympic highlight China's rise. And new regional initiatives are shaping East Asian multilateralism. And next month, Indonesia will host a major United Nations convention addressing another source of change, the climate. The current context of international relations in East Asia then is a deep change. Nevertheless, I see several trends. With time, I believe that Indonesia will not only grow more important, but Indonesians and the US relations will grow more important with it. Already, Indonesia's profile is rising. Its economy is the largest in Southeast Asia, with a promising specific indicators. The religions of its citizens has placed it at the center of global moderate networks, and its democratic reform, as you all know, has given it uniquely strong foundations on which to build its future. In all of these areas, its economy, its majority religions, and its reform, Indonesia is growing more important. When I speak to an analyst, some express surprise at this conclusion. I have to remind them that Indonesia, my country, can no longer be measured with a ruler calibrated in 1998 or prior to that. Indonesia has recovered from the turbulence of those years. Today, we need to look forward to the country's future, not its past. Economically, for instance, the future is promising. At a macro level, GDP growth has increased every year since 2001. This year, the government expects to see 5.8 to 6% growth. And if you recall in 1997 or 1998, one can never think of what we are achieving today. At that point in time, our economy contracted to minus 13. And in only less than a decade, with all the challenges that we face, with all the challenges that have to be responded by our people, such as natural disaster, man-made disasters, forest fire, and all those kind of challenges that we have overcome. And ethnic strifes in different parts of Indonesia occurred in between 1998 until today, then the one can hardly find that Indonesia today is not those that we expect to be in during in 1998 when we changed and when we start to reform every respect in Indonesian people's life. Now, speaking about another economic indicators, specific indicators are strong as well. The Bank of Indonesia lowered its interest rate by 3% in 2006, and it looks ready to bring it down to 8% by next year. After a period of instability during the Asian financial crisis, inflation has stabilized at 6.6%. The country's reserves have grown by billions, its credit rating has improved, and the Jakarta Stock Exchange grew by about 30%. According to my note, never in the Indonesian history that we can be able to accumulate, well, of course this is small, but it is an achievement, and accumulate foreign currency reserve up to around 51 or 52 billion US dollar. In the past, it was good if we could reach the level of around 30 to 35, but this is what we have secured in 2006. Our export reached the level of 100 and surpassed the level of 100 billion US dollar 2006, and we expect that we can get something around 100 billion to 110 billion by this year. Amid East Asia's change, social factors will also affect Indonesia. Within what some see as a debate within Islam, Indonesia is at the center of a growing and global moderate Muslim network. The government of Indonesia is the country's two leading Islamic organizations and wide arrays of Indonesian civil society groups have explicitly condemned violence. As Indonesia moves into the future, its leaders will remain committed to keeping Islam as a religion of peace and devotion, not one of violence and intolerance. In this role, Indonesia is unique. The religion's history in the archipelago gives it a tolerant and understanding character. And with about 200 million believers, Indonesia is home to as many Muslims as the entire Middle East. As Muslims around the world determine the future course of Islam, many will look to Indonesia. In addition to its economic growth and religious character, Indonesia's democratic reform will also increase its stature. The same reforms that seem difficult today are building a stronger base for tomorrow. As James Castle and Craig Kearney noted recently in the Washington Post, democratic reform is a better foundation for long-term stability than authoritarian government. This is a lesson all Indonesians alive in 1998 remember. As our leaders invest in steady reform today, Indonesia will see its importance rise tomorrow. But where all these are Indonesian-US relations? Today, Indonesian-US relations are strong. President Bush has called Indonesia a vital friend and strategic partner. The letter that he sent to Indonesian Ambassador when I submitted my credential contained such a note that Indonesia was called as a vital friend and strategic partner. Secretary Rice has echoed these views, describing our relations as a tremendous partnership. And looking ahead now, I believe this partnership will grow stronger. It's true that a changing East Asia is full of uncertainty, but our leaders are brave enough to see opportunity that change. Through engagement, trade, and values, Indonesia and United States are drawing closer together. Indonesia is re-engaging the world. Earlier today, we assumed the rotating presidency of the United Nations Security Council. Next month, it will host over 30,000 international delegates to the UN Framework Conventions on Climate Change in Bali. And we also re-engaging the Muslim world. Last year, Indonesia contributed soldiers to UN peacekeeping operations in Lebanon. Around 1,100 Indonesian soldiers are now being deployed in that particular area of the world. And we hosted reconciliations dialogues about Iraq. The country remains an active member of the Organizations of Islamic Conference, and late last month, Indonesia hosted the first ever visits of Palestinian president to the archipelago. Together, Indonesia and United States could harness this engagement to secure the best long-term solutions to terrorism and empowering the moderates. And this is one of the opportunities. Another opportunity lies with trade. Businessmen are drawing our countries closer together. Since 2003, bilateral trade has grown by average 1.5 billion each year. In 2005, American foreign direct investment totaled 9.9 billion. Companies as diverse as Starbucks, Gap, Mars, Inc. have established their major operations there in Indonesia. In terms of trade, by the year of 2006, we secured the level of around 16.4 billion US dollar, and only since January to June this year, we have already accumulated some 9.8 billion US dollar. So if it comes to the end of this year, we might expect that the trade volume between Indonesia and the US, vice versa, will reach the level of hopefully around 20 billion US dollar. As I said, Starbucks, Gap, and all those operates in Indonesia, but more than coffee, clothes, and chocolate, the potential of energy is particularly high. The United States is the world's largest energy consumer. If I'm not mistaken, you consume around 18.5 million US dollar per day. And Indonesia is the place where you can still find something to be tapped. And this is one, one element that we may use it to cement the relations, or in any case, we might probably get this kind of natural resource become an element for us to diverse. Recent government survey placed Indonesia's crude oil reserve at 8.6 billion barrels. According to 2006 report, only 22 of an estimated 60 oil basins have been extensively explored. And Indonesia remains a top exporter of liquefied natural gas. And today, as global LNG price have doubled over the past 3 years, this is an opportunity for American companies. Lastly, of course, Indonesia and United States remain bound by values. Our culture, traditions, and histories are different, but we are tied by democratic respect for pluralism, for representative government, for enterprises, and for education. This is reflected in each country's national motto. Our Bhinneka Tunggal Ika, or unity in diversity, is very similar to your E pluribus unum, or out of many one. And this affinity is also reflected in practice. In 2003, for instance, President Bush introduced some 150 million education initiative for Indonesia. American NGOs have contributed to the rapid expansions of Indonesia's civil society. And at the personal level, American tourism to Indonesia is on the rise. In 2005, we welcomed over 150,000 American visitors. As values continue to build government, NGO, and personal bridges, the relationship between Indonesia and the United States will only grow stronger. The recent history of Indonesian-US relations is remarkable. As with East Asia, it is a story of change. 10 years ago, my country was under authoritarian rule, suffering from US sanction. Today, Indonesia is the world's the third largest democracy. Far from sanctions, United States now seeks our partnership. Across matters of engagement, trade, and values, East Asia's change have created new opportunities for Indonesia and the US to grow closer. As a person who are designed to represent my country, I've been given these areas my full attention. I'm often asked to speak about international affairs, and often I am asked why I feel Indonesian-US relations are so important. To me, the answer is simple. Between Indonesia and the US is a partnership that breaks the rules. For our, it's not a clash of civilization, but cooperations between civilizations. Our cultures are different, many of our perspectives are different, but ahead there are shared future. And from where I stand, the future looks bright indeed. Thank you very much. Sure, sure, for sure. Yes. Yes, sir.
Yeah, my name is Dr. I have two questions. One is about the military. On your explanation, I don't see any explanation about what's happening with the military. In fact, that we follow after Rahman White came to military from the political and economic and bureaucrat into the professional military. It is a great move. But we also follow that recent the military is, as usual in the past, they try to maintain or create some issue like a communism issue in order to gain power back to control the Indonesia. One of the very last example is in Timor, military said that there is a growing communism in that particular area, which is published in Timor's local paper. And then there are two reasons that military use. One is because East Timor now is maintaining a relation with Cuba, which is not true. Second is the military also said those who against the military's policy to build new troops are the communists against the. So they create a new, and in West Papua, they send more and more troops, although the special autonomy already stated that when the government cannot send without any talk with the local government, but military is continues and send more troops. So can you elaborate about the military's role? Second is about Indonesia already succeeds with solve West Aceh case in a very peaceful manner. And my question is why Indonesian government doesn't do same things on West Papua issue, especially because West Papuans are already tried many times through peaceful way to dialogue, and Jakarta always denied to or reluctant to, at least so far, to dialogue with West Papuan people. Instead, Yudhoyono's government is kind of playing double standard in international with the sense that willing to work, talk, and so on, but as the military is doing own business. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. May I take probably two more questions before I give my answer? Yes, sir.
Mr. Ambassador, thank you for coming. My name is Paul Sarno. I was interested if you could tell us something about what Indonesia is doing about the forest fires and the logging.
Thank you very much. One more questions, please. Yes, sir.
I wonder if you could just give us an outline of current Indonesian relations with these two.
Okay. Yes. Thank you. First questions, the role of military in the domestic politics. I cannot imagine Indonesian military take their role as in the past they did. The fact that we have vibrant press, we have free society, we have non-governmental organizations, we have very strong civil society. And well, I have claimed that Indonesia has the third largest democracy. The military themselves have already left the politics, domestic politics, by leaving their representations in the parliaments. Rule in terms of representations is being defined by civilians through the representations in the parliaments and with the support of the civil society. And with this, I cannot imagine that military in Indonesia can regain what they have in the past. This, I think, I'm speaking in general. Now, let me put it into a more specific issue of what you said in Timor, for instance, saying that the military began their operations trying to, as I probably can put it, as try to regain their role in the past, or their position in the past. I do not know, but with the number of military active in Indonesia, only about probably less than 400,000, and the spread over an area as vast as United States, can they still dominate the country? I don't think so, because with the small number that we have. Secondly, also, as I said, in democracy, I don't think that there is any longer a place for them to play politics, or otherwise people will put it in the headlines everywhere. And with that, I don't think that they can sustain their trying to regain what I said as their position in the past. So this is another general overview of what the military have in my view. And the military themselves, they have committed very strongly in what they said as placing military in democracy as a reform process that is going on since 1998 until today. So with this, I cannot imagine that the military can return to what their positions prior to the reform took place in 1998. And West Papua, if we talk about West Papua today, it is not the West Papua that we might imagine in the past. The Special Autonomy Law, the law number 21, has been promulgated. 2 governors has been elected freely by their people, and several head of regencies has also been elected freely through various kind of elections process, very transparent and accountable. And only for our Papuan friends to use the opportunity of 12.16 trillion rupiah that is allocated for them to spend in 2006. Never in the history of Indonesia that such huge amount of fund being provided for Papua for them to manage. Why I'm speaking about their own management, because probably I can speak about 80% of officials who are occupying different level or different layer of bureaucracy in Papua are no Papuan. So it is only for the Papuan people to use this as an opportunity. And of course, it should also be placed in the context of accountability in terms of how the government spends the fund. So first, I don't think that military can be in Papua like in the past, because then the civil society, which also have their role to criticize this, if at all there is an operations of the TNA, will become a hurdle for this military to operate there. And at the same time, when we talk about how Papuan can, have the opportunity to build their own areas, then the amount of fund that I said, so that come to around 1.4 billion US dollar. 1.4 billion US dollar only for about 2.5 million people. So we can imagine if they cannot use this as an opportunity, then it's not the fault of anyone, but the fault of those who are in the bureaucracy. To compare Aceh and West Papua, I think it's two kind of different things. There have been a armed conflict in Aceh throughout years since '76 until 2005, but there is no such a conflict in Papua. And the fact that we are talking about how to give an opportunity to pursue welfare with this funding, and talking about Aceh, that in where armed conflict involved, I think we are talking about two different things. And the solutions for the two are different. For Aceh, we have secured the peace through a peace agreement in Helsinki. And I don't know whether for Papua we need to sign any agreement with whom, who are going to represent Papua, because such a diverse groups exist in Papua. And after all, with the elections of the two governors, with elections of 6 or 7 regencies head, I think Papua is well represented by their own leaders, and to pursue their welfare without any need to seek a peaceful solutions with anyone, because there is no armed conflict in there. Now, on the forest fire, we established cooperations with neighboring countries. We also part of ASEAN effort to address cases such as that happened in the Sumatra, the forest fire. And on illegal logging, of course, the rule of law is now being, or at least we try to uphold the principle of rule of law in addressing the issue of illegal logging. But more than that, the role of civil society, the role of our free press, and the role of those that have a concern about issue of illegal logging have been able to be together with the government to address the issue of illegal logging by implementations or by enforcing the law. So this, I think, very general, but this is what we have been doing. In Riau province, for instance, recently there has been a very strong case of how the police tried their best to enforce the law. Even this group of police men, the police establishments are now in a not in a very good relations with the Minister of Forestry, for they have their own principle to uphold the law. And so this, I think, among other things, what we have been doing in terms of addressing the questions of illegal logging. Concerning East Timor, I think it's wrong to perceive Indonesia today in their relation with East Timor bringing the legacy of the past, because there have been completely changed relations, shape of relations have completely changed. What East Timor is doing is their own domestic affairs that we do not mingle, we do not meddle with them. And we are helping East Timor in many occasions, in different areas. We work very closely with East Timor when they seek their membership to ASEAN. The Southeast Asian nations, the 10 Southeast Asian nations, know they are in the process of applying the membership of ASEAN, and already been admitted as part of the dialogue partner. So the relations is in a good shape, and we are trying as best as we can to help them consolidate their own business, their own affairs, and with that we are ready only to help in every respect if they wish us to do so. So I think relations was excellent. Any other questions, please? Yes, from this side, lady. Yes.
Thank you very much for giving us this opportunity to talk to you.
Sure.
Thank you. I'm someone who's interested in performing arts. I teach in the Department of Music here, and have watched with interest the development of sort of the anti-pornography legislation.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
You
yes.
can talk a little bit about that and talk about how you think it will all come out in the end, number one, and then number two, if it were to be passed and then fully implemented, how do you perceive the possibility of future for many performing arts, ranging from Aceh all the way down and across to West Papua? Because it's something which is deeply troubling to those of us who are interested in the performing arts.
Thank you very much. The issue of draft bill on anti-pornography has been with the parliament since 2001, I think. It's already been years and years. With the upcoming elections, I believe that, well, I'm a very true believer of pluralism. Indonesia's society are those that are so pluralistic that will not allow such a law to be adopted by the parliament. If you look at the representations in the parliament, I think those that come from a nationalist-based political parties, those that come from secular, I might also say, from secular persuasions, far over those that base their positions in terms of this draft bill in the parliament. So I don't want to give you an exact calculations of who are going to vote for what, but I am, a true believer of this pluralism, and pluralism will become the backbone for the, for the decision by the parliament to adopt or not adopting the bill. And if it is going to be, if there is going to be a bill on this particular areas, anti-pornography, then this will be diluted in such a way that it will allow the performing art be given their life, not going to be hindered by a law like what some people want it to be. I cannot imagine that people in Bali can, allow this kind of, bill to pass if it contains the prohibitions of those who perform art being seen as pornography. So, first, pluralism. Second, the domestic political constellations in terms of who represents what. And I believe that political parties that base their ideology on nationalism rather than religions will still be in dominant positions. And then thirdly, I believe that there will be still process, but if it is going to be, if there will be a draft bill pass, then this will become a very loose and can accommodate every aspirations for performing art not to be hindered by such kind of bill. Yeah. Yes, please. Sir, you're with blue, you raised before.
Thank you so much for coming to talk to us. I wanted to ask, I've been very impressed with particularly Dr. Haji Susilo Bambang Yudhoyono's response to what's been going on in Burma. He's been very outspoken in condemning what's gone on there, and that's wonderful. He's limited himself to speech for now. I'm wondering what exactly would be the conditions that Indonesia would need to see before it takes action more than speech?
To talk about action against a particular country, against a sovereign state, then we are talking about United Nations Security Council only. Of course, we cannot sanction any countries based on a unilateral act effectively, because you may have seen sanctions against Iran, for instance. Well, it's been years, but still, they pursue their interest in building. I don't know whether this is peaceful or not peaceful nuclear facilities. So Indonesia wanted to see every nations, especially the neighboring states, to push stronger pressure. This is already been already can be seen as a sanction against such a country, because bringing it to the context of imposing sanction without the involvement of neighboring countries, I think it will not be easy for us to change the situations in Myanmar. Secondly, Indonesia operates in the context of ASEAN in dealing with Myanmar. In different layers of ASEAN bureaucracy, there is from summit down to minister meeting, down to senior official, down to DG level. In every occasions, we express our concern. We press strong pressure against Myanmar. So this, I think, is one of the way that we would like Myanmar to change. So first is through the neighboring countries' pressures. What I mean is China and India, because these two big countries have very strong influence to Myanmar. And then Indonesia, together with ASEAN, will continue to press ahead with ideas of roadmap that they already promised. And in the Security Council, as member of the Security Council, we would like very much to cooperate with other members to exert pressure in Myanmar. And with the appointment of special envoy by the Secretary General, I think this is one of the way on how the international community can connect what we wish with what the situation in Myanmar. Thank you. Yes, please. Professor. Sure.
While you're here with your expertise, that's what I'm interested in trying to find out about. Everybody's paying attention to China, but I wonder whether there is in policy circles a coherent framework oriented towards India, which has a naval base 90 miles off the coast of Sumatra, at one end of the Straits of Malacca.
Yes.
And as trade continues, Asian trade continues to pour through the Straits of Malacca, does Indonesia see a need for some sort of explicit stance to be taken towards Indians' growing sea power?
Thank you. Well, let me distance myself with policy-making process and put myself in positions as an observer. Indonesia been very long allies of India in the non-aligned movement. That I think need to be revisited today, because by feeling of very close to India as member or a founder of non-aligned movement, we are somewhat being blinded by what is going on in terms of the military, the growth of the military, the growth of India as military power. So we haven't yet come to that stage of assessing the relations with India, using the military elements in the relations as part of our assessment. So this very frank assessment what is going on, because we are too comfortable being being partner of India in the non-aligned movement without seeing that something is changing. When we talk about the Malacca Strait, for instance, in different occasions we differ with them in terms on how to secure this line of navigations. So it's time, I think, for Indonesia to get into a more succinct and in seeing what is happening in terms of India as growing as military power. We haven't yet come to that stage. Thank you. Yes, ladies.
Oh, yeah. Thank you once again for coming here. I was wondering if you could comment on Indonesia's relations with Israel, since you talked about the relations with Palestinians and how this, helps with resolving the conflict in Israel.
Yeah. We base our positions on Israel on the Indonesia's constitutions. The first paragraph of the preamble of the constitution said that Indonesia is based on the belief that colonizations have to be renounced. So we are seeing the questions of Palestine and Israel from that particular angles. That is that there's still been a group of people that haven't got yet their independence. So we are trying to help alleviate these situations from the very beginning of the issue of Israel cropped up in 1949 until today. From this, based on these convictions, that there is still a group of people that haven't yet got their independence, and our constitutions mandated the state, mandated Indonesia to help renounce colonialism. So we see this particular issue from this particular from this. And now, when we are in the stage and where there are number of group of power holder in Palestine, like Hamas and then Fatah and all those, we would like to work with them in terms of persuading them to use as best as they can to resort to non-violence and finding resolutions on the questions of Israel. So based on these two basic tenets of our thinking, that is the constitutions, and secondly, that no one should resort to violence in finding solutions. We are working closely with Palestine to try to help seeking resolutions in this issue. Yes, please.
I wanted to follow up on the question about West Papua.
Yes, please.
With respect to the principle you just enunciated,
Yes.
about peoples who have been subjected to colonial rule should receive independence or freedom.
Mhm.
I wonder how the administration you represent would respond to claims not for autonomy, but for actual independence.
Thank you. Well, we are of the belief that Papua is part of West India, part of Dutch colony. So when actually the power been transferred into the independent country of Indonesia, Papua should have been with Indonesia since from the very beginning. But only because our friend, the Dutch, is stronger than Indonesia in terms of their position in the international politics at that time. They hold Papua And only with the 1969 referendum that we have Papua be with us, which actually should have been with us since from the very beginning of independence of Indonesia. So independence of Papua for Indonesia is no questions. But it's only for us to know how to provide as best as we can welfare for our friends in that area. So there will never anyone in Indonesia would think that Papua become independent country based on at least what I said, that if a colonial power left and the transfer of authority is done to be transferred to the newly independent state, then the whole territory of the colonial rule, the colonial master, have to be transferred. And we have been, well, in Indonesia we think that we have been kind enough as to let the Papuan issues only solve in 1969, while in fact from 1949 when the whole territory of former colony of Dutch been transferred to Indonesia, actually Papua should have been with Indonesia. Thank you.
Much as we might like to continue, our time is about up. We just have time to thank the Ambassador once again for his visit.
Thank you very much.